Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Connor, here with my father,
Kevin.
And you are looking gorgeous, man. You're looking spiffy. You're looking nice and fresh and clean.
I don't know why, but I always got dressed up for like the Grammys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I always did.
This is our version of the Grammys.
Yeah.
I don't know what you've picked. I have no idea. He's got it on a list. I've got it in my brain.
Yeah, there's an age difference. Let's everybody know that.
That's
right?
why you have it on a list. And I'm actually just honestly excited to hear what you've got as your favorite and our favorites and what you're going to say about them. Yep. And I haven't told you anything about mine.
No, I had no clue.
So it should be very fun. And this year has been a fun year of new music. I think we did more new records this year than last year. Number 5 for me. This album is one that we did early on in the year, and it honestly stuck with me as we kind of went through the year. I didn't listen to it, all the time. It wasn't one that I had on repeat, but it kept coming back.
Yeah.
And when I was making this list, I was like, I can't not put this one on here just because how good of an experience it was and how much I like going back to it.
Yeah.
And that is Little Yachty. Let's start here. What can I say about this record? It is everything that I like musically, stuff that I've been shown all my childhood through you. Yeah. The influences, the Pink Floyd influences and all the psychedelic stuff.
Yeah.
With Little Yachty.
Yeah.
That's everything I could ask for.
Yeah. My number 5 is an album that came to me completely accidentally on a Twitch stream. One night I was sitting there and I'm not sure if you were away at the time, but I was on Twitch. I had a couple beers in me. And someone had said, hey, you got to check this out, right? Because at that time I was doing British artists. I listened to Dave, Psychodrama. I watched him Black is Beautiful, which was the performance. Absolutely crazy. So I decided to pick this one. My number 5 is RAYE's My 21st Century Blues. If you haven't heard the album, I ended up bringing Connor to the show.
You dragged me to the show, and it was the best, one of the best concerts I've seen this year.
Yeah, if you don't know her backstory and the reason that I fell in love with her, and I'm still deeply in love with her, she was on Polydor. They shelved her album. Mm-hmm. It wasn't going to come out. She ended up getting out of the deal and letting it free, and it's taken on its wings. She has just flourished. She is such a voice. She is such a real person. She's been writing and producing for other people for many, many years.
My number 4 is an album that made you cry a lot. So you viewers probably already know where I'm going with this. It had to be on the list. Lana Del Rey, Did You Know There's a Tunnel Under Ocean Blvd? The record is one that I wasn't expecting to love just because I wasn't a big fan of her last 2 releases before that. Mm-hmm. Norman Rockwell, I loved. Then I was just kind of like okay with the other stuff. So then I went into it with the mindset of like, yeah, it should be a decent project. And then I was like, no, this is another Lana classic. Yeah. Everything on that record to me is just magical. The production, her singing, I love the intro, the grants, and talking about her family. I love how personal she gets, and on this record, it feels like she gets more personal than before.
My number 4 is a recent album, which I like because it's I'm glad that you threw out these albums, like I said earlier at the beginning, with that probably, they're not going to be massive views and all that kind of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And I hope I can say the title, but I have not stopped listening to this album, and I think it's absolutely Grammy worthy. there's a snippet in it that he says that, but it's Quaranta.
Oh, Quaranta, yes.
Yeah.
Danny Brown.
Danny Brown, if you're watching, I know I haven't listened to XXX,
Yeah.
But Danny Brown, you have an album that is absolutely, to me, as a new listener, new fan. I've gone and I've read some Pitchfork stuff where people are complaining and they should have been this and that and that. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I love this album. I just wrote another album I resonated with deeply, right? And I wrote, if I had my way, I'd give Danny a Grammy right now.
Yeah.
The Bruiser Wolf feature.
That's incredible.
Jen's Terrific Vacation, Celibate featuring Mike, Hanami, Bass Jam, Ain't My Concern, Tantor. The drums on Jen's Terrific Vacation and the drum,
That's one of my favorite. I think it's my second favorite song of the year.
Yeah, it was, you know what? It was, I'm glad that we got that in.
Yeah, because we were like considering, should we do it? Maybe we'll just listen to it our own time. No, I'm so glad we did it.
Yeah,
It was close to cracking my top 5. It was so tough making this list, but
really tough.
That one was one that was alternating in my number 5 spot back and forth. It was that or Yachty.
Yeah,
and for me, I had to go with the Yachty one just because of how impactful it was just throughout my year.
Yeah.
But I can see why this would be impactful for you. It's very, I'm not calling you an old man and I'm not calling Danny an old man, but you guys are closer in age.
But there's also similes. Like, you know what? He's had his struggles. I know I've had my struggles with maybe consuming too much and doing things. And I think that the way he's opened up and he's cleaned up has inspired me, and for him to talking about being in the rap game at this age, there was that resonance that I really felt, to him on this album, and I think he did a fucking amazing job. And I haven't heard XXX. I think I want to go back with you at some point and listen to that because I want to see. I know where he is again.
Yeah,
and I want to see where he was during that XXX time. Right.
Yeah. Number 3 for me. This could be a hot take because of where it's sitting. It honestly, if it came out a different year, it would probably make its way to number 2 or number 1.
Yeah.
But it has to be number 3 because I have 2 records that I can't get out of my head. I can't leave them. So this record we did together, First Reaction. And it was probably the most fun I have had this year for a First Reaction. Travis Scott, Utopia.
Yeah.
I got to give that one, as much praise as I can because it's everything I wanted from Utopia, really. I didn't want it to be an Astroworld Part 2. I didn't want it to be a Rodeo Part 2 or a Birds in the Trap Part 2. I wanted something fresh and new, but still that same Travis Scott sound, which is exactly what he delivered. He's always got crazy features on his record, and I felt like he, pushed the boundaries on this one. You got Beyonce on there, you got Dave Chappelle and Young Lean. Like it's some of the wildest features. He's got Kid Cudi, and then you've got
that was your choking.
I choked on T. Yes, Tizo Touchdown. The Drake one, I love that he didn't try to do a Sicko Mode Part 2. He didn't try to recreate the magic of Sicko Mode. They did something totally different. And Drake rapping in his little whispering, scared of the six, scared of the six. Like that was fantastic. It's just, he's so good at like world building when it comes to an album.
My number 3 is right behind us.
Lana
Del Rey.
Okay, so this is the first one we've had similarity now. We up to this point we've had different ones. Yeah,
you had it at 5, right?
I had it at 5.
I had it at 5. I have it at 3. The reason being is that, again, I know it sounds weird, but I connected to that. I connected to remembering lyrically, feelings, emotions. I connected to it so deeply in terms of losing people. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to cry here, okay? But she just pulled out certain things in that album vocally that made me really, really take stock in life. Yeah. And I think after that listen, I started to really, really understand that when you're talking to somebody, every moment you got to take in.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. It's fantastic. And I think I said to you I was sleeping one night, and I got up in the morning and I says, that Simmel, that song,
Paris, Texas.
Remember, and I think you connected the dots because I heard it
on like some piano playlist before.
Yes, yeah. And then I was like, then when she put it together with what she did, it would have been easy to ruin a perfectly good melody in the way it was. She enhanced that song and made it. That was, and it's on my Spotify. I listened to that song the most last year.
Yeah, that was up in my top 5 of most listened song. Number 2 for me is a record that just hit me at the right time. It was the right time of year to come out, and I listened to it. I don't even know how many times. Too many times. It's made me feel the opposite of the Lana record, honestly. The Lana record made me kind of sad, and it's just, it's a Lana record. Of course, I'm going to feel sad and like, thinking about life and questioning all my decisions that I've made. This felt like a warm hug that everything is going to be okay, and that is Sampha's Lahai.
Oh, wow.
Putting on that record just felt, I think I talked about it in our reaction. It feels more than an album. It like the way it's constructed and everything he talks about on that record, just it makes me feel comforted and safe, and like, really like just the phrase of everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Like, I listened to Spirit 2.0, and it's Yusuf Daves, right? Who's on the drums.
Unbelievable drummer.
Sampha's vocal performance, everything about the record, it's a perfectly concise record. It has a sound throughout the piano, throughout the whole record, and just his voice is something like out of this world.
Yeah,
it is truly special, and I know, it was a long time in between his last record, and people had to wait. But if I have to wait 10 years for his next record, but it's just as good as this one or better, I don't mind. My
number 2 was easily, hands down, this year's favorite moment, favorite build-up. Probably know where I'm going. And one of the coolest experiences for a dad to experience with his son. And so my number 2 is Utopia.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to just say, that Travis's music lyrically takes me, I don't know, to certain places.
The lyrics are okay.
The lyrics okay. They don't hit me like
Jid or Kendrick.
Exactly, Jid or Kendrick. But now this is a reason, and this is, if everybody's asking me why this is number 2. I put on the headphones, and you just said it earlier, he takes me away to a place that I have not heard before. And it's just like Astroworld. And the first time I heard Rodeo, I said, how does this happen?
That video is like a classic in our YouTube, timeline. I think the Rodeo video is just one of my favorites of all time.
Yeah. Like, and so, I've got my list here, and the production for me was absolutely fantastic, and experiencing it with you for the first time, and the hype building up to that.
Being involved with the conversation, being able to talk to people.
With the young kids.
Yeah, exactly.
That made me feel really...
20-year-olds messaging you on Twitter saying, Kevin, what's your favorite song off Utopia? And you being able to answer. And,
yeah. And modern jam, what can you say? Like, really, it's, like that album, and that album, that whole experience. And that's what I just want to say about, like, it sits me at number 2 because it just did so much for me emotionally throughout the year. And I know that years from now, you and I, or if I'm gone, whatever's goes on in life, you'll be watching that video and you'll remember that moment, because
it's my favorite video we did this year, I think. the Utopia one. Yeah.
There he is.
And that was my Christmas present from you.
Yes.
Yes, you got it. That was just wild. Actually, no, it'd probably be more wild if that was my Christmas present, like that I gave to you.
Oh, yeah.
You gave it to me.
Yeah.
My number one pick, extremely obvious for people that follow me on Twitter or Instagram or just know me in person. Caroline Polachek.
I figured.
Yeah. Desire. I want to turn into you. Album of the year for me. I think it is. It's. I don't know. I saw her live. I was very close. I think third row.
Yeah.
I got the, what's it called? Sound check
Experience.
I got to experience probably the best concert I've been to this year, and she was incredible live. And the album is everything I could have wanted from Caroline Polachek. Her vocal ability is she's still my favorite vocalist this year.
Amazing.
The notes she can hit, and just the emotions she brought, and it connected with me. This is another album where it's like, yeah, maybe it's not the best lyrically that came out, or the best, production. Well,
Production was good.
I'll say it's.
I gotta
say it's the best production, but say lyrically, maybe it's not the best. There's better albums that came out lyrically this year, but it's the way it connected with me. It's the time it connected with me. I was doing some traveling, and I had this album on repeat. I think I listened to it was my number one album this year. She was my number one artist. She was like, I forget which song. I think the opening track was my number one song. And that's because I was flying to Montreal in the winter when it came out.
Yeah.
And I was trying to sync up the drop on the beginning of the song. Like when she goes, desire.
With what?
With the plane taking off.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
But there was like 8 delays. So I listened to it about 50 times. It was like on February 20th, you listened to this song 48 times.
That's why
I was like, that's when I was trying to take off and sync up the song with, because it was beautiful. At afternoon, and I was looking out the window, and I was like, I need this to be the song that, because I'm terrified of flying, and I was like, I need this to be the song that while I take off, it plays. But I did time it eventually, but I just had to listen to it a lot.
49 times.
Yeah, something like that. It was ridiculous.
My number one was your number 5. Let's start here.
Really? That's your number one?
That is my number one album this year. The one I listened to the most. And these are also, I'll throw in another criteria, is little favorites. Mm-hmm. When I favorite on, whatever you call it on Spotify.
Yeah, you like it.
You like it, right?
To your favorites.
This one had the highest amount. There's an explanation behind this. This was also, again, an experience that was between you and I for the first time. When I remember
Black Seminole.
When I first heard Black Seminole, and I looked at you, and we were like,
just like, our jaws hit the floor.
Yeah.
We were shocked because we didn't know what we were going into.
Yes.
People said, guys, listen to it. And in my head, I was like, I like Little Yachty, but I mean, like, you guys are going crazy over this. Like, what's, I liked Little Boat 3, but I didn't plan on showing you any of that.
Yeah.
Then we pressed play, and I understood exactly. Like 2 minutes in, I was like, yeah, I get why everyone's telling us.
It's the one I listened to the most, and that was sort of one of the things. I went back and I looked at it, right? And you know what's funny? You said it when you talked about it. I said, I was out cleaning the garage one day, and Failure, the spoken word.
Yes.
I absolutely love that, and if I had the chance to tell him, I thought that was such a. He's just talking, and there's a little bit of ambience going on, and I think it was such an important part of the record. Yeah. And because he was taking a chance on coming out of his comfort zone and making something psychedelic, and then speaking about failure, I thought it was very cool to
very
fitting to talk about that. Black Seminole, The Ride, Running Out of Time, Say Something, Paint the Sky, Reach the Sunshine. Obviously, the psychedelic, the Pink Floyd feel. It surprised me the most because we were coming from what I heard was Walk Poland or stuff?
Poland, yeah.
Yeah, Poland and all that.
I took the walk to Poland.
You took the walk to Poland.
Which had great vocals. I took the walk.
Yeah. That's not bad. But I heard in little snippets of that of the type of artist he was. So when the headphones came on and it was his ideas executed by other musicians.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was his all-female band that he toured with or was on Saturday Night Live with, but the musicianship is fantastic. I know that our good friend John in Australia, like me, just loves this fucking album. Like I love the album. I love the production. I love Yachty as a person. I've watched his podcast now, and that's a big thing for me.
It's connecting with the artist.
Is connecting with the artist. I think he is really, really untapped, and he's only got future potential in terms of production and what's going on in his mind.
Oh, he's got so much.
Like I know he did a couple of beats for Drake and stuff on the Dogs, right?
Yeah, and Another Late Night.
But I think he's going to be one of these artists that is going to be morphing psychedelics also with some trap.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that's where we get to with him, right? But I really, really like him as an individual. He gets the full kudos.
Yeah, honorable mentions. We were going to do this. Usually you do this in the beginning of the video, but because we didn't know what we were doing, I didn't want to say honorable mention Quaranta, and then you're like, okay, number 5, Quaranta.
It's that album right up there.
Boy Genius.
I've since we listened to it the other day, I've gone and watched them live. I've watched them with the Nardwar interview. I've watched them singular. And I think they're absolutely. I think if I had more time with this album,
it'd probably crack that top 5.
It would be in the top 5. This Is Why by Paramore.
Yeah, that's on my honorable mentions too. Sufjan Stevens, Javelin. It was like right in there. I actually was like going in and out of taking it on my list. It was so close to being top 5. Guts, Olivia Rodrigo, Mick Jenkins, The Patience. You haven't heard it.
No.
It's a fantastic short little project. Maybe it's one we do sometime soon, just because it is really short and it's fantastic. Earl Sweatshirt with The Alchemist, Tizo Touchdown.
You know what? Just before that came out, I was going to cut you off
and say
because I shit the bed. Because it's in there on the list.
But you didn't.
No, it was on as my honorable mention, like a really strong one.
Billy Woods with Maps, great hip hop record. Actually, I'm going to give 2 somewhat honorable mentions because I think they're like decent records.
Is there limits to honorable mentions?
I don't know. Well, these are just stuff that we've listened to that I like. Yeah. You know,
just fucking with you.
There's like 10 songs out of like the fucking however many 48 songs or something like that. No, not really. There's 20 something. But for All the Dogs, I'll give it an honorable mention because there's songs that I go back to. I like First Person Shooter, and I like Another Late Night, and 8 a.m. in Charlotte. I think it is, or 8 p.m., 8 a.m. one of the times. That record is a honorable mention for me, just because, you know, there's songs that I do actually really like.
Yeah.
You know, if it's going to be on the honorable mention list, though, it's probably like far back there. Like it's just, you know how I said Sufjan was creeping into the top 5.
Yeah.
Drake is creeping into the honorable mentions.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
I actually just pictured that in my head.
Yeah. Another one, which is one I just listened to recently. I don't have enough time to process it, but the Nicki Minaj Pink Friday 2, I'll probably put that in my honorable mentions. Maybe it would get better with more listens. I only listened to it once, and there's a couple tracks that I go back to.
I haven't even mentioned Scaring the Hose.
That's what you're reading my head, like we're connected right now, because that was the next one I was just going to say, Scaring the Hose. Yeah. That's probably at the top of the honorable mention. Another one that I was about to, get into my top 5, but I had to think about, connections and where it would sit. Yeah. And that's where we're going to end the video off. And I hope you guys had a good 2023. And if you didn't, I hope you have a great 2024. Enjoy music with each other. Enjoy music together. And we'll see you in the new year.
Okay.
Take care, everybody.
All the best.
Much love.
Bye-bye.
Peace.